Hello, everyone, and welcome to Day 3 of Mini Stravaganza 2023. We're kicking things off with the Legion Roadmap, one that I know a lot of you have been waiting for. I'm not Simone Elliott, who was originally scheduled to be on this panel. She was unable to make it today, so I'm subbing in. So, I know what's happening here. I'm a little unprepared. Pagani's probably going to lead a lot of this. We're excited to be here with you for Day 3, wrapping up this Mini Stravaganza with a bang. With all that said and done, we're going to be taking a look at some of the stuff that's going to be coming out for Legion early next year. We're going to take a little view into the spring as well, and then we're going to be talking about, semi-spoiler alert, some very far-off things that are very exciting that are happening right now in the studio to give you all kind of a view of where we're going longer term for some exciting developments with that. So let's go ahead and dive right in to the Star Wars Legion Number 1.
Geonosians.
So
Geonosians.
Geonosians. So we showed these fine bug people off at Adepticon. We're going to dive a bit more today into their card reveals. We're going to talk about some of the art. We're going to talk about the sculpts.
And they were painted yesterday?
Yes.
2 days
Oh,
ago?
yeah. They were.
It's all blurs together.
I was like, these were painted months ago.
Time is not real.
Those
I get you. Yes, Dallas Kemp did do a hobby hang where he showed several different ways to paint the Geonosians with different carapaces and all that. So if you want to check that out, that happened on day 1. It's all right there. But let's go ahead and Marco, just talk a little bit about these sculpts, about how the challenges involved in bringing in flying bug people to Legion.
This one particularly was tricky because most people associate them from like Clone Wars, the episode 2, and so like a lot of those CG figures were like very high res with lots of texture and all sorts of small like insect details that
chittering, perhaps.
Yeah, that just do not translate at scale for miniatures because there's just too much noise there. And so while we do have like that reference, we had to also take inspiration, a more stylized approach with the more animated depiction of them, as well as keeping in mind just the thinness of their wings, since they're very insect-like. And so we had to make sure that the pattern reads well and it's also not going to snap when you putting it together. So
I will say my favorite part on these is how I think y'all made them look very spindly and bug-like, but as you just said, they're also sturdy. Like I've held them in my hands and been like, oh, this is good. Like this isn't going to snap or break or wiggle or anything on its base. So like I think y'all nailed that.
Thanks, yeah, because we really wanted to have them, like you said, like they're very maneuverable, and so we wanted to make sure that they're not going to break. And also, again, like that style is what really lends itself to that, making sure that you can see what it is that on the table and recognize the Geonosians.
They don't look heavy to me, I guess.
No, they look like they could be, flying around, buzzing around.
They look like a good fly swatter will take care of them. And then, of course, I think the amazing art piece is already up of Poggle kind of pronouncing his dictates to the Geonosian troops and warriors. There's a whole slew of fantastic art we're going to see on the cards, both unit cards and some of the upgrade cards we're going to look at. Just wonderful work. I don't have Simone Elliott's Post-it note. She kept that with her, so unfortunately I don't remember the artist's name on this. But hopefully that'll get posted in chat, maybe by a Dallas. You can go grab that and let everyone know who did this fantastic piece. But Preston and the team really knocked it out. There's a lot of great set pieces. We had a lot of fun talking about the various like environs that we would find these people in. There's some great droid factory stuff, and then there's also just like the idea of movement and flight with the Geonosians. I think was really fun for them to play with and to come up with these really neat compositions that kind of read well at the different scales of the art. And I think that's one of the things that is always kept in mind. Like the upgrade card art has to be concise and compact because it's a little bit of a smaller window. Then you've got command cards and you've got the unit cards, which get the bigger pieces that get cut down for everything. So let's go ahead and dive into some of these upgrade cards because apparently that's next rather than showing the unit card first. But why not? It makes sense.
Look, it's an adventure.
Yeah, we're going on a trail. We're going to show them all the
Save
cool
the best for
upgrades they
last
can
there,
take, and then we'll show them why those upgrades are cool when we show the art, when we show the unit card. So, Dursum, you want to walk us through kind of what these 3 upgrades that are on the screen?
So you're going to get 2 different heavy weapon options in this unit. You've got the Sonic Cannon Warrior and the Force Pike Warrior. The Sonic Cannon is kind of your standard heavy weapon that gives a slightly larger dice pool to the unit. It's also got scattered impact 1, so you're going to be able to kind of reposition your opponent's miniatures with that weapon. And then the Force Pike is one of my favorites. It is a card that flips, so there's 2 sides to it. One is a melee weapon that gives suppressive, and the other is actually an overrun weapon. So your Geonosian warriors can make overrun attacks, as they fly through.
That's a secret.
Not anymore.
I do have a question though, which maybe is for Will Schick.
Uh-oh.
If the Force Pike warrior card
Yes.
adds a Geonosian holding a Force Pike,
Yes.
and the Sonic Cannon warrior card adds a Geonosian holding a Sonic Cannon,
Yes.
does the Geonosian warrior card add a Geonosian holding a Geonosian?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, brilliant.
Correct.
But
Okay.
it's a very small one. It's
Very
like
small.
a larvae.
Welcome to Legion.
He just carries it
Okay.
in his little like Geonosian Bjorn. It's Bug Bjorn.
Look, I just had to ask. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's legit. It's legit. All right, so with that, moving on. Let's take a look at the actual unit and the card. Walk us through some of the design and development process of these guys. I know, as Marco mentioned in the sculpt, one of the challenges was showing these Geonosian like warriors, these bugs, very mobile, very fast. They fly. Getting some of that feeling into that lightness into the sculpts themselves. But then translating that on the tabletop, talking about a unit that we think of as buzzing around the table, being always in flight. How was that approached? What were some of the things you tried? How did those things not work out and lead you to where you were now?
Yeah, so we knew from the very get-go that we wanted the Geonosian warriors to be the third core option for the CIS alongside the B1s and B2s. And we know that we wanted to, because they're kind of one of the first organic options in the faction, we wanted to kind of explore how to make them feel different, right? And them having wings and flying around the battlefield was something that we really wanted to capture and kind of lean in on. So we play tested a variety of things. Like we had them at speed 3 at one point, and that they could just move over terrain. That was too much. So we kind of settled on this approach of, well, let's give them a free jump move as an action, free action to kind of capture that feeling. And then there was issues of, well, they're too good on certain objectives because they can do hostage exchange, and they can also, with recover the supplies, they're a little too strong. So that's when we came up from the way down keyword. So they do not get to use jump while they have a claimed objective token on the unit, and that's just kind of a balancing, mitigating factor there.
I mean, it's also like you pick up something heavy.
Yeah, I mean, you're not.
Those little wings aren't going to do it. Look at them.
Yeah.
Marco made him so thin.
Look, what is the airspeed of a laden Geonosian warrior?
Great question.
Right. I guess it depends on what hive they come from, but
The North Hive or the South
North hive or the South hive, yeah. And then this death from above keyword is something that I really like. We with the core rulebook change to climbing and whatnot, we want to see players get more elevation on their tables. And so death from above is a really cool keyword that plays into this kind of unexplored design space of how high are you on the battlefield. Your elevation matters. So if they can get to a spot where they're at higher elevation than the enemy, they deny cover, which is really cool. They just fly up there and they're shooting down on the unsuspecting clones.
I think that does a great job of really showing them like poking out of holes and stuff in their hives and fighting that way, and that really like hit and run.
They can strike from
highway.
anywhere at any time,
Yeah.
kind of feeling. Yeah.
And it encourages players to do things like that, and I always love it when the rules make players play thematically because that's what's good.
Yeah.
So that's always
We're all about trying to make the unit or whatever the miniature is play like it does in the media.
Yeah, how it's portrayed.
So let's dive into the two characters that are going to be coming out alongside the Geonosians to kind of add more of that organic feel to the CIS armies. Sunfac and Poggle the Lesser. So we have both an operative and a commander. And Marco, talk a little bit about, well, you're going to have to do your best Simone impression and talk about Poggle's little like beard thingy.
Oh God, I don't even remember what she called it.
I don't remember what she's in the chat.
proboscis, perhaps.
Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds like Bugs.
Probiscuit. But talk about bringing these two in.
Yeah, this one was fun because we do have like depictions of Poggle and other media outside of of the prequel trilogy. Everyone remembers him from his clicks and noises that he makes iconically and stuff. But it's also was a little bit challenging because he has a lot of little tentacles and all these things hanging like to be his beard. And so to make sure that that doesn't become an assembly problem, we have to get a little tricky. We have to be a little tricky there in getting the assembly to be smooth as possible while also getting that nice gesture of him stroking his
Stroking the bug beard.
So that was a lot of fun just to be able to highlight some personality in these miniatures, and for this line, especially since they're not like the most expressive creatures, right?
They are quite alien compared to like a
and then
human
now you
face.
shrink it to that size, like pushing that personality, like that's really the goal there. And I think it reads great, and I think that people are going to really have a lot of fun painting that miniature.
And then Sunfac, I know we had a lot of discussion about. There's a couple of different references for Sunfac, and they are radically different between the live action
and
the head sculpt, and then the more like animated video game
Yeah.
stuff. So, talk a little bit about how that decision tree went.
Yeah, honestly, what you want is for those features to be seen on the miniature from afar, right? Like, so honestly, most often than not, stylized art, whether it's like in animation or comics, they accentuate those small little details, kind of like caricature artists. They pick out features of yourself and like kind of exaggerate it. And so we then lean a little more on the animated side to pick out what those features are that make that character. And so in fact, with his scar and his, obviously the Geonosians are known for like their big eyes that like kind of,
Literal
They're
bug
bug
eyes.
eyes.
bug eyes. They bug out.
You can say it; it's okay.
It's racist.
Against the Geonosians.
Against the Geonosians. Anyone who will
guess.
future play. No, and so but we still have the live action reference to then help inspire any other sort of things that we want to put into the design to make them stand out.
Talk really briefly, because the chat's mentioned it, about lack of flight stands and obviously a move away from kind of the plastic sticks
Well,
that have to go in very inappropriate places most of the time on the
Most
miniatures
of
to
the
make them
time.
fly.
Unless you have like the cop out as a jetpack, right? Like you're not gonna be able to plug it in a great place, and so that's honestly where you have to get a little. We've kind of pushed ourselves to be more creative and like we're gonna eliminate the flight stand and make something out of like whether it's like terrain, using the terrain or using like effects like smoke or any like fog or anything, which we used a little with the Geonosians to then elevate them up without having this big clear like piece of plastic that's kind of like
Just always jumps out and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a game,
especially
not
with the
not
glare.
a scene.
Yeah, well, especially with the glare, like it might bounce off the clear plastic and kind of takes the eye away from all the work you put into your miniature with the paint jobs and everything. So we want to definitely like lend itself to like, okay, you don't need to see a plastic piece of like just sticking out from afar on your miniatures.
All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at what these two characters do, starting with their stat cards. Dev Boys, walk us through.
Sunfac.
Yeah, so with Sunfac, however you want to say his name, we definitely want to make him kind of capture that fantasy of him being Poggle's right-hand man. You know, Poggle is the one that makes the plans but does not execute the plans. That is Sunfac's job. So we knew we wanted him to be kind of the combat unit in comparison to Poggle's kind of supporty role. So he's got the same keywords as the Geonosians, the jump 1, or the jump 3 rather, death from above. He also has direct Geonosian warriors, so he can hand out and order them. He has retinue for Poggle the Lesser. He has scaled and weighed down, and he is a little bit more proficient in combat than the normal Geonosian. So he can go out there, he can mess some units up pretty effectively, and his command cards, which we'll get to in a second, help the Geonosian warriors out. Poggle, on the other hand, is kind of exploring this space that we talked about yesterday in the Battle Force panel. Something that we were kind of interested in to explore in Legion was making commanders and operatives that are more supporting. They don't necessarily have to be combat pieces. They can just support their army. So we saw that kind of with Logray or C-3PO. And this is another instance of that, of how, Poggle's kind of an old Geonosian. He doesn't really fight. How do we make that interesting, compelling on the
Clicks the
tabletop?
button.
Yeah, he clicks the button, right? He builds the Death Star.
Yeah.
So how do we make like compelling on the tabletop? So we gave him
Compel.
with Compel. We gave him a suite
Yeah.
of support abilities like Compel, Core Separatist Alliance Trooper.
Solid start.
Yeah,
Solid start.
good segue.
Perfect transition.
Entourage for the B2 Super Battle Droids, Override, and he has the same weighed down keyword. And another thing we wanted to do with Poggle was we didn't want to make him just effective with the Geonosians. We wanted to make him a support commander with a little bit different flavor for all of the CIS faction. So that's why he's got the synergy abilities with the B2 Battle Droids and any core trooper unit.
I think my favorite part of the Poggle card is that he's only jumped 2, where everybody else has jumped 3.
Yes. Well,
'Cause-
look, it's hard when you're that old.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like it's just
His
like
wings aren't quite as like fresh, all
Look,
right?
I
They're a
can-
little dried up.
I can relate, Poggle.
They're a little papery.
My wings are a
Like,
little dried up too
if,
sometimes.
If you're a human, your knees go at a certain age. If you're a Geonosian, your wings start to go at a certain
alright.
Yeah, so I love that like little flavor that we were able to get in there. That's like, oh, this guy's not as spry as say Sunfac or the other Geonosian warriors, right? He's not there.
But
He's also only speed 1.
where he is there is in his ability to command
Absolutely.
things. So let's jump
Absolutely.
into the command cards. Talk a little bit about what they bring to both the Geonosians in general and CIS armies overall.
Sure, you want to do this? Or okay.
No, go for it.
Sure. So we'll start with not Poggles. I'm sorry. Sun Fox. He has one command card, Brutal Enforcer. It's a 1-pip. Sorry, forgive me. This is really small text.
You don't have to read it. Just talk about it.
Just talk about it.
Remember
They
what
can read it.
does.
It's
Yeah.
on the
They can
screen.
read it.
He gets to do the Geonosian Warriors get to jump 3 and get Agile 1 and Demoralized, so it's going to help out your Geonosian Warriors that are around Sun Fac. And then for Poggle's command cards, we really wanted to capture some of the iconic moments in Attack of the Clones, where there's a deleted scene, actually. I don't know if y'all knew this, where there's the kind of trial and execution for our main characters. So it's 1-pip, let the executions begin. He gets to hand out 2 orders, then he gets fire support. So it is Poggle pointing and the droids shooting. We serve the Queen. It orders a Sun Fac, or it doesn't order Sun Fac, but he loses direct Geonosian Warriors. And they gain coordinate, so you can kind of emulate that hive mind feel that you normally have with the droids and the AI keyword with your Geonosian Warriors. And then the final one is kind of my favorite, the 4-pip We Make Weapons that counts as a 3-pip for your command hand. When you issue a core droid trooper unit in order with this, you get to return some defeated droids to the unit. So it's kind of a send in the next wave feel. Send in the next batch from the factory. So,
And you can see on this, we discussed a little bit about the art before, but you see the different vignettes that the artist really pulled together. The Droid Factory one, I'm sure marketing will show in its full, is phenomenal. It's just got a great atmosphere to it. Let the Executions Begin, classic, like droids coming forward, shooting all the laser beams. But it's always fun to work on that stuff because Preston and his artists always make the full scene, and then we kind of have to crop in for the cards. But it'll look interesting to see how that goes. So. I have no doubt that you'll be seeing those pieces shown in all their glory throughout the ramp up to these guys releasing early next year.
Got a thumbs up from
Got a
Anna.
thumbs up from Ann. Maybe she'll show them now. Who knows?
could- you could
Ann's a wild card over. Oh, we got the head shake.
Oh,
But you are a wild card. We were discussing that this morning.
you could say it's all pretty Poggles, right?
Oh my goodness. My.
I'll see myself out. Bye, guys. I'm out.
Good day.
Good day, sir. Good day. All right. So, anything else we'd like to say on these fantastic Geonosians?
Before we move on to the next thing, which they haven't seen? Have
No,
they
they've seen
They've
it.
seen this
We've
one.
seen
Seen
it.
it?
Yeah, I'm just really
All the-
excited to see how this new option, this new non-droid option, creates new opportunities for CIS players, and to see what they do with it. Really excited for that.
Perfect. All right, let's look at another one of the releases that's going to be coming out early next year. And these, again, were shown at Adepticon in the preview panel, but we're going to do a deeper dive, show some cards and everything going on here. And that is Fifth Brother and Seventh Sister, the new Inquisitor operatives for the Galactic Empire. Marco,
what's up?
there's something that's...
Thanks for joining us, Marco.
I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. We'll bring you back. I don't know where you were, but I'm glad you're back.
I was simply responding.
So I think one of the most interesting things to me on this is that we've done something that you haven't seen on lightsabers before, and there's a little swoopy effect.
Yes, we wanted to try out, because especially in this sect of Inquisitors that we've seen in, particularly in Rebels, they have the helicopter flying ability, and they spin their lightsabers a lot in battle and fighting. So we wanted to try to emulate that on the miniature a bit and kind of give people a little more motion in these poses, as they often do tend to like share certain stances due to the lightsaber they wield. So we wanted to kind of give it a little more, to separate it and differentiate it from the rest, especially as we continue to make more Inquisitors in our game line. So, yeah.
That was a bold statement, right? More Inquisitors.
I'm meaning like the Shatterpoint line. And
Look, no one expects the Imperial Inquisition. All right.
We've made a decent number of Inquisitors for sure.
As I meant, yes.
These ones for Legion specifically, though, hard inspired by the animation, and certainly come from that kind of moment of the Rebels show.
Yeah.
With all the designs. That fifth brother's huge.
Very
he's,
big.
He's real big. I remember
boy.
in camp being like, "This is too big," and everyone being like, "I don't think that it is."
It felt right. It's about the feeling of the character.
It's not just that. I mean, just his height in general. He is a big, chunky boy. He barely fits on that base.
But is intimidating
But
to
he
see on the
does.
table.
He is, yeah, for sure. Do you remember who sculpted these? Go back.
It's been a while, but I'd say it was David Ferreira.
Okay. And he did a great job on him. He really captured the characters.
The likenesses of the animation, and really keeping true to that, to the representation from the animated series. So, yeah, great job all around.
All right, let's take a look at what both of these characters do. I think this was one of my... I really liked this design discussion that we had, because one of our goals from the outset was to make sure that you could play them together in a way that worked well within the Legion parameters. And one of the challenges with Legion in general, when it comes to characters, is you only have so many choices. And the cost to balance characters against their units usually means that taking a lot of characters really reduces the options and opportunities you have to play a solid game of Legion, I would say.
Well, it
with
drastically
activation
reduces
counts
your
and
activation count. Yeah.
activation count and just everything else. So talk a little bit, not only just about their design in general, and I know, Pagani, you worked very closely on this, and actually, I think the original designs were done by one Michael Plummer.
They were.
Yeah.
So just walk us through kind of the discussion, and then I think Dursum can take us through the changes and how they kind of wound up where they were.
Yeah, the goals for them, right, was to create two characters that work together but don't really like working together, right? So like Fifth Brother has a lot of rules that are very aggressive because he's a very aggressive character. He doesn't, I mean, I'm not super duper familiar with them from these shows, but they're together and they're working together, but they don't want help from each other.
They're very
much how it
like
works,
all
right? So,
all
like,
Red Blades. They're very competitive, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
If you don't complete the mission, you're likely to get force choked to death, and if you do complete the mission, you might get a promotion.
Which is
Sure.
even worse.
Like no pay increase,
Which is worse,
but
yes.
you'll get a promotion.
And you'll see this a lot in the command cards where they're like constantly trying to one-up each other, and they're constantly trying to like do the better thing, which pushes them both to be better and do the thing, which I think is kind of the idea of Sith and the Inquisitors, right? Is like if they're always fighting for doing the thing, if they're always ambitious, they'll always try harder. But Fifth Brother, I think, does a great job of showing this with like Dauntless. Like he's being attacked, he's being suppressed, he doesn't care. And you have Enrage. Once you actually damage him, he gets real big mad and gains charge and becomes fearless, right?
It's Ram.
It's Ram, which I guess is just him like. So we wanted a very aggressive, sort of non-flashy saber wielder here that's just going to get in there and
Mess
do
people
his
up.
thing.
Yeah.
And you'll notice he's relatively inexpensive for a saber character, around 100 points, 105. And the Seventh Sister is much more about interrogating and getting information and doing that kind of thing in the shows. So we did a lot of other stuff with like Disciplined. So
He's the sledgehammer, she's the scalpel.
Absolutely.
You know?
So we have like Disciplined, we have Interrogate, we have that kind of stuff. And then of course we have Associate Fifth Brother, so you can take them both as one operative slot, which you touched on a moment ago, right? She also has Jump, where Fifth Brother doesn't. So she's going to be much more mobile, much more agile, less hit points overall, more courage, right? So like we're getting a lot of that feeling of like one of these is a finesse character that thinks about what they're going to do, and Fifth Brother just runs directly at it.
And if you
right?
want to take both, you can. I think one of the things that we were trying to nail down is, as Schick said, in Legion, if you're with your standard rank requirements, you only have your 2 operative slots. So we wanted a way to players be able to take both of them and not crowd out all of those slots. So it's like, all right, well, that's how the associate keyword came to be. And it's this idea of, all right, well, if you take both together, it's about the same points cost as a Darth Vader, but you get two, and together they're still not quite to that level. But you have the benefit of having 2 activations instead of 1 activation,
And they can be in 2 places.
and they can be in 2 places at once. They can have 2 attacks, 2 objectives, or whatever.
And yeah, I think when we were making these, right, we were looking at what can we do to make somebody that has a lightsaber still feel like they have a lightsaber, but also only be 100-ish points.
Right.
And because lightsabers are obviously very powerful, they have impact, they have pierce, they have all these great things. They usually roll a ton of dice. So what can we do to do those kind of things? And I think we did a great job coming through here with like what does a lower level lightsaber user do.
And their dice pools are not particularly large. They don't have deflect, which is something that a lot of saber users have.
They do have still immune pierce though.
They do, yeah. They're not completely helpless, but
They don't just fall over. Right.
they have block.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. But I think to me, where these really come in is one, the command cards we're about to show, and then their single upgrade card.
Oh yeah,
that
but
goes for
that's
them.
that's like future spoilers.
Well, no, it's right here.
I know. It's
Oh,
future.
it's future.
We have a slide and then another
Time
slide. You
is
see,
relative.
Like we gotta go forward. So
The future could be in like 35 seconds.
It could be.
could be. Depends how long it takes to talk about these command cards here.
Will
So
then be now.
so the pack
Soon.
the pack does come with 5 command cards, 3 for Seventh Sister, 2 for Fifth Brother. And walk us through kind of where these go, what they do, how they add to these already impressive characters.
Yeah, so Fifth Brother has 2 command cards, Seventh Sister has 3, although one of hers is kind of a team-up card. So just going through them really quickly, I'll do my best. These are very small. But I think my favorite one is this You Would Not Question Me. It's a 2-pip for Fifth Brother, and it's when, to me, this card highlights the kind of competitiveness between them, and kind of how they're like egging each other on. And it's a permanent card, so when you play it, it'll stay in effect for the rest of the game. It's when Fifth Brother gains an aim token, Seventh Sister gets a dodge token, and when he gets a dodge, she gets an aim, and then when either gets an aim or dodge, the other gets an immobilize token, or can, and if they do, the first one gets a token of the same kind, right? So one gets a token, the other one gets the opposite kind, they can immobilize the other one to get a second token.
Yeah, so it's them fighting, right?
Yeah, it's them fighting, right? Yeah, and this went through several iterations in playtest to make it balanced and get the wording functionality. But I really like how it ended up because I think it really captures that how we talked about
Competitive spirit.
competitive spirit that is among the dark side Force users. What's another one that
just talking about the art really quick. I think one
amazing.
of the interesting things that Preston and the artists did on this is, you have these characters. They're drawn again. The Legion inspiration very heavily drawn from the Rebels animation, but there's this overlay in the style and the colors of this more sinister nature, right? Like in the Rebels show, they're spooky, but there's still like it's a soft spooky, right? You know that they're bad, but they're not that bad. Here we get more of a horror element to them, where you can really see how frightening it would be to be confronted with these, to see like the evil behind the nature of the Inquisitors and all of this. So I think it's a very cool take and something that was very different to see, but it was fun to see how they ran with that style, the color palettes and everything to pull it together to make it feel like a monster movie almost.
Yeah. Shout out to Preston for getting all that beautiful art.
I think You Hide Your Fear Well to me perfectly. Is like that's the card art that I'm just like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. Well, she's got Ezra's lightsaber, right?
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's having it from the point of view of whoever she's interrogating.
It's
super cool.
drawn from that scene in Rebels,
Yeah.
where she's interrogating Ezra as well. So,
On to the next.
unless there's anything else we want to cover here.
No, you can go to the next slide.
I think these cards are sweet.
Yeah, I
They
really
are
like these
very
cards.
cool.
That's my professional opinion.
There you go, professional opinion.
So,
You scroll down.
but now, Inquisitorious training.
Yeah, so this is a unique upgrade. Well, not unique upgrade, but it is only available on Fifth Brother and Seventh Sister. It is a training slot that gives the unit Demoralize 1 to try to capture that fear element that we talked about. One of her command cards also gives her Demoralize 1, so she'll go to Demoralize 2 for that one round. And this is something really interesting. So when the unit range 1 exhausts a Force upgrade, the Inquisitor can roll a red defense die, on a block or a defensive surge, you cancel the effect, and the upgrade remains exhausted. And so we wanted to capture kind of how the Inquisitors are trained to hunt Jedi. And we wanted to do something a little bit more interesting than just putting the Jedi Hunter keyword on them. And so we were talking about that. How can we convey that? How can we do something that's, they don't just get slightly better dice against a Force user? And we came up with this as a really interesting counterplay option to Force users in Legion, especially with Force Push, that can kind of run amok on the battlefield. And so this kind of throws a wrench into those plans of, if you have your Anakin or Yoda or Luke or even Darth Vader, that they plan to go out there and push people around with Force Push or choke or some other Force power, Force barrier, that this can, shut that down. And what does that mean for that Force user? So we were really excited to put this in the game and kind of, make players think around that play pattern that they have been doing for the entirety of Legion.
Yeah. Any additional comments, Senor Pagugu?
Yeah, we could talk about the development of this a little bit, which this went through a ton of iterations, right? Originally it was an exhaust card that just let you do it automatically without the dice roll. That came out to be a little too powerful. It was all sorts of other things, like you could just exhaust their Force upgrade cards, like you didn't have to wait for them to use it. You could do these kind of things. So this went through a lot of different iterations, and I think we landed in a really cool spot that does really cool stuff.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that is to keep in mind here is a balancing factor, because we definitely went through iterations of the card where we were worried it was too powerful and the playtesters were worried it was too powerful. Is the Inquisitor has to be at range 1 of whatever they're doing this to, and if they're at range 1 of another Force user, chances are that Force user will definitely be able to beat them in melee combat. So
especially in a one-on-one situation, right?
Exactly. So you're definitely going to have to put your Inquisitor very far forward to get use out of this ability.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Moving on, we're now getting into the further out than the further out portion. So we're talking about spring, Q2, Q3, spring, early summer of next year overall with all this stuff. And then, of course, we'll have some stuff that's even further out than that. But let's just dive right into it. Right after this unit's going to get painted. This is probably the most requested unit that I've seen ever.
Yep.
It is the Republic.
I don't know
clone.
about that.
Oh,
I don't know about that. But
I'm going ever.
Keep going.
I'm gonna use my hyperbole
All
the
right.
way I want it.
All right.
Because I filter
Don't
words
do yuck
to
is yum.
only see Republic clone commandos
Sure.
in every request ever. So the Republic clone commandos are coming to Legion. Alongside the Bad Batch as well. So all the commandos all the time, basically, at this point. They look phenomenal. Marco, walk us through the sculpts for these guys.
I mean, what more can you say? It's Republic Commandos. Everyone's been wanting them for a long, long time. They're going back to our childhoods of seeing them in video games and, their depictions in series and comics, and oh my gosh, like, everyone's been at, like, as far back as I can remember, we've got Star Wars properties. Everyone was asking about.
Talk a little bit about the weapons. What's unique about this unit? I can see.
What do you
I can
mean?
see
What do you
different.
mean?
I can see different versions of the IWCS.
Well, because they all have different features to them, and like you can have different attachments, right? Of different
on any of the characters.
On
So
any of
you
them.
actually get to choose as you build the squad the weapon for each different pose.
And I think that's what really will get people excited and separate from the more the less customizable like skirmish version of them in Shatterpoint to this Legion version of them that I think people will be very apt to play and put together and assemble.
And no real rule spoilers right now, but that does actually come into play with how the unit functions.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
when you build your commandos, you can choose to arm them however you would like. You have to remember that Marco is a baby, so it was his childhood. It was his childhood.
Yes.
I know he looks very mature, but
It was mine too. I love that game.
Yeah, see?
I don't know why every time I put a weird emphasis on a word, I can get Ann to like just go, but it's super
Every
easy.
once in a while, I just hear it crack
It's
up.
really
over here.
easy. So the basic clone Republic Commando unit is coming to Legion. But we'd be remiss if we didn't give a nod to the very OG, the original, the first.
Yeah, I mean, you
squad
said
of
that this
Clone
was the
Commandos.
most anticipated Unit Legion. I think
That this is
that
the most
this is the
anticipated?
most anticipated
Yeah.
Unit Legion. I don't know if the slide is up yet.
When we say
but-
this, yes.
Yeah, I think
There
I
it
think
is.
it's this one. I think this is what everyone really wanted. But
Well, now they can have both.
they can have both.
They can
yeah.
have both right
Why
out
not
of the
both?
same
Porque
pack.
no los dos.
So, Delta Squad is also releasing as part of the Clone Commandos unit. This will allow you to play those fantastic characters from the Star Wars Clone Republic video game, Clone Republic Commandos video game. So many words.
Oh.
The art is just beautiful.
It's amazing.
That
It's so
Preston
good.
was able to do with the artist, who I'm sure Simone will pop the artist name in the chat since she's hanging out in there. But both the generic Commando art and the Delta Squad art, some of the best Legion art I think that
This art
I've
is so
seen
good.
out of
Yeah.
out of
It's so
Preston
good.
and everything. So it's a very exciting new addition to the Clone Armies. I know it's one that people have been waiting for forever. They have some very cool and fun abilities, especially with how we played with the weapon customization options that they have and everything. So with that, let's go ahead and and I would be remiss if I didn't say that if you want to see these miniatures as a very early sneak peek, you can watch Dallas' stream right after this, Republic's Finest. Yes. I always get that one mixed up with the Empire's Elite. But Republic's Finest, he's going to be painting the Clone Commandos on stream right after this.
Same.
Same. I mean, the Republic's Finest led to the Empire's Elite.
It's true.
Speaking of the Empire's Elite, you saw me paint these yesterday on the hobby stream, and then I finished the unit afterwards during our hangout stream at the end of the day. But the Empire's also getting the range troopers from the Solo movie as a new option of the unit. Marky, you want to talk about these sculpts? They're big, they're chunky, they're amazing.
And they were a headache to work on.
Oh, wow. All right. Tell us. Just let it out. Let it out. This is the session.
No.
They were a
no.
headache to work on.
I'll get a therapy session some other time. But no, they were mainly because those boots are so complex and they have so many details and intricate pieces. So we really had to like simplify a lot of certain elements in order to make it work for casting, but also like make sure that you can visually see these range troopers, that they can actually like stick on things with their cool boots. And our engineers did a great job in like kind of meeting that bridge to making sure that the assembly is good and also is accurate to how they're depicted. And they just have a lot of these little challenging bits that is all on one miniature that usually are separate, like handling fur, and casting that in hard plastic and making sure that the assembly is all right. And then also they're customized, they have options like the heavies. And then making sure that those swaps are fine, and then on top of that, those boots. And so it was quite something. But I think they look great. The paint job is amazing, and I'm excited to see more of these on the table and in all the groups once people have them in their hands.
There were some interesting conversations. I mean, I assembled them, and I talked about this on the stream the other day, but the way in which the engineers were able to cut them to make them kind of minimal parts despite the complexity, and also hide the build joins through the seaming of the coats and stuff was really impressive. From the dev and design side, I think the most interesting thing that we talk about right now, because we're not in spoiler territory, was the conversations and the partnership we got to do with LFL to figure out what their heavy weapons were.
Yes.
Uh,
Because you don't see those in the movie.
You do not see those in the movie. No, you just see them with their E10D or whatever they are blasters. But
Still E11s.
E10R, I think.
I think they're
I don't remember. It's been a
E10s,
while.
but it's
Yeah.
They got a scope.
it's different, and they are a weird looking blaster. But so the heavy weapon choices for these, it was fun because we kind of got to look at what the unit needed to be ideal to our functionality and its place within the Empire Army. But then we also got to talk with LFL about, okay, is this a weapon that they conceivably would use?
Right.
And LFL threw back some extra options, and so we kind of went there. E10R, there you go. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. Okay, going along with our further thing. I guess you could argue that maybe this is, we want to show you some stuff that is still in its raw stage, so we're going into the not even painted miniatures now, just to give all the looks at what's coming. Somebody's going to be really excited about this.
Yeah, from a certain point of view, this is the most requested
It is
unit
by
in all of Legion.
by a certain subset of people.
Yeah.
But
know
if
who you
anyone
are.
said it's crabbing time, it's crab time. So the LM4K Crab Droid is here's the sculpt for it that's being worked on by
It's
Marco's
crabbing
team.
time?
Crabbing time, yeah.
All right.
Is it? Look at this! Look at this beautiful crab boy, and tell me that's not what he says as he like clitters towards you
I'm not sure he
with his
says
little mandible
anything.
blasters. No, he says it's crabbing time. He doesn't say Roger Roger. He's like, it's crabbing time.
Look, I haven't watched the cartoons, so I can't.
I know, so I'm
can't
clearly
confirm or
right.
deny you here.
You're clearly right. So this will be coming as a new option for the Separatist Alliance, obviously droid armies.
Does come with 2 weapon options.
I know you've been having a lot of fun with your team sculpting this guy.
Yeah, Evan
because
King
he's just so
took
cute.
This, yeah, Evan King took this squad and he really busted. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more that we.
There's more stuff, but the crab droid's what we're showing here.
What's great.
Please hold yourself in check, Marco.
I'm having a Tom Holland moment.
Just don't ruffalo it. We'll be okay.
Everybody dies.
Oh
no.
Really exciting. We did choose the smaller of the 2 versions of the crab droid. There's a 6-legged one, a 4-legged one.
Marco, control yourself.
Oh yeah, your boss just came in here, Marco.
I got yelled at on all sides, virtually and.
So I'm very excited. I can't wait to paint up like 4 of these, and then have my little spider droids, and have all of the creepy crawlies.
Mm-hmm.
It's Battle
You
Force
got
that's
your
coming.
crab
I just
droids,
said
your
it.
spider droids, your snail droids.
Crab Force?
Crab
Crab
Force
Force.
1.
All right. I guess that's
Stop
yelling
looking over
something
here,
we have
Ann.
to make.
I don't need your judgment.
It's a Crabble Force.
Crabble Force?
Stay on board.
Stay on target. That's
Yeah.
the accurate thing. Another future look at a unit that's being worked on right now. The Rebel Saboteurs.
Yeah.
This is a pretty awesome group of
Rebel Saboteurs?
Rebel Saboteurs.
Rebel
I was
Sal?
going to say something, but I'm not going to say that word because we don't use that word here.
Oh, no.
No.
I really
tell me
like
later.
so I really like this unit, inspired somewhat by the scenes that we see in Andor. The idea being these are the generic townsfolk who are inspired to join the rebellion, or they're the inside operatives that are working among the townspeople to oppose the Empire's rule. So they're not equipped super well. They're experts at sabotage and demolitions and
A sleeper cell, if you
sleeper
will.
cell, if you will. You got to dance around all of the non okay words for your heroes in your thing. But overall, it's a very fun, characterful unit. I know your team did some fun stuff. There's a Loth Cat that you can stick on any of the bases,
Yeah, you
specifically
see on the
the characters one.
There in the middle there with the leader. It's a little Loth Cat, and it was this was all done by Alex Ettinger and our sculpting and engineering team. And there's a lot of cool little details and little Easter eggs and stuff. And we really want to, like you said, follow the inspiration of the Andor series and that sort of sabotage.
Yeah, it's I like the non-militaristic look of these guys, especially. It feels very rebellion to me. So I'm excited for this squad and to see what's coming out. Yes, you can talk about the astromech.
I just wanted to point out that there's an astromech.
There is.
That isn't.
There is.
Every
normal.
good rebel cell needs an astromech.
That's fair. I'm just saying.
They're the true
that
heroes of
exists,
the
and
rebellion.
They are.
Maybe that's going to be very exciting for things. I think that's very exciting.
Exciting for.
Look, we're not in spoiler season.
We're
no
not
matter
in
what
spoiler
Marco
season.
thinks.
We're not in spoiler season. Even though Marco would like to go there and talk about all the things, we're not there.
I'm excited.
Okay, so this kind of concludes the nearby look of next year. Kind of the every other roadmap has covered that section.
But
wait,
there's more.
Legion friends. There's a bit more that we want to talk about because we're very excited about this new endeavor, and we wanted to share kind of the progress and to show where we're going. This year we've done we've talked a lot about looking at our skills, the development that we have, how we can look back to the past and make the future better. And one of the big things with Legion was that it was launched in soft plastic. So a lot of the original Empire and Rebel stuff was done in soft plastic at the time because of the understanding of the manufacturing and the capabilities of the studio when it launched at Fantasy Flight Games. who kickstarted these amazing properties and games, it was kind of norm for the industry. And now that we've moved forward, we have more hard plastic in the line. It's become the de facto. It just has a higher quality. There's more detail fidelity. All of the things that we all know about why hard plastic is the superior material. So we have started the process of going back and redoing all of the soft plastic sculpts into hard plastic. So we're going to be moving everything forward. And we wanted to show you a couple of those things so you know what to expect. We're going to have Marco talk a little bit about some of the advantages that we're going to get out of this move to this new material. Now, we're beginning this process now. So we always talk about how this process takes about 2 years. So we're right at the start. So we're talking, again, this is your,
gonna be a while.
This is your bonus. We're into the future. We're talking like late 24, early or mid 25, depending on how all this stuff works out with approvals and camming and all that. So these are very raw sculpts, but we're super excited about it. And we wanted to just let you know that, this is our future roadmap. In addition to making cool new things for Legion, we also want to make the core of Legion the best it can be and to exercise and flex those skills and those abilities that we all have and have developed over the course of our studio's lifespan. Yeah. So with this, let's go ahead and take a look at the first preview, which is the Rebel Troopers unit.
Oh, Commandos.
Commandos, sorry, the Rebel Commandos. I get my Rebels confused. But yes, this is the new Rebel Commando unit.
Yeah.
So already we can see a bunch of non-human heads.
Yes, they're going to come with a lot of different options. You're going to have all sorts of alien different options, so you put on your various characters here and your miniatures.
And we got a lot of Twi'leks, but I know there's more represented than just Twi'leks, right?
Yeah, you got Duros, you got you have the Mon Calamaris, you have and then of course you have your regular human heads as well. And
disgusting.
And there's a mixture. There's a mixture of. I think this is one of the really cool things, right? Like Legion as a unit-focused game, not being character-focused, like it allows for a lot of potential customization. So we have heads. We also have gendered bodies. So you have male, female, all different kinds of like options and opportunities to customize certain things in the overall hard plastic, and that'll change from unit to unit.
Yeah, just
as
to say,
we go.
like we want like to keep it also like in some like a lot of cases to keep it androgynous, so that you can just make the character that you want to have emulated on the table.
So that is the Rebel Commandos unit in Resculpt. Let's go ahead and look at the Empire's true finest, the Stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers.
So
crisp, so clean.
So crisp, clean, hard plastic.
So hard plastic.
So hard plastic. I think with when you look at the Commandos, versus the hard plastic Commandos, sculpting and the detail fidelity and stuff. No. It's
Commandos.
Those softer
Rebel Commandos.
Rebel Commandos.
Sorry.
Yeah. You can kind of get away in the soft plastic with the softer detail. When you really start to get into hardline stuff, though, this is where the detail fidelity and the sharpness and crispness of hard plastic is undeniable.
And that's and that's really like where it's at, where it's the crispness and then also the durability. I think that's a good one to note too, where it's not going to easily bend, it's not going to warp,
it's not going to come deformed. It's going to be really solid off the frame, and so like overall, this is probably the unit that I'm most excited for because I think the designs are so cool, but the material has its deficiencies on the original sculpts. Being able to go back and do them true justice is going to be very exciting, and I can't wait to see how this unit eventually turns out and everything. So.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Are we thanking?
Yeah, we're thanking Kevin. He worked on that one.
Now, we're not just going to be doing trooper units. We also have several iconic characters that could use a glow up. So we're going to show you a couple of those here. We have a Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker and a General Leia Organa to show here in their raw forms as they're moving along the process. Just getting more of that heroism and those classic and iconic poses that you want out of your centerpiece character miniatures. Being able to go back, use the crispness of the hard plastic to get the likenesses much better and improved, so you can really see the faces of those iconic characters and the actors' likenesses and all that stuff. And then, of course, just sharpness everywhere, right? So I really love these. I'm excited to see as the things move going forward and getting everything else going on, where we're at with that.
I like the faces personally. Like hard plastic versus playing soft plastic. Like the faces of characters is just
it's nice and crisp.
Incomparable.
And then, of course, we're going to close out with the most iconic Star Wars character ever. The man who ties it all together.
Wicket?
Yes.
Yep.
No.
No. Oh,
The right hand of
No.
Oh, the other one.
Lord
the second most.
The sinister force that killed Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader.
Yeah. And this is
This
Commander.
is Commander Vader. Yes.
And this
Yep.
this is the commander version of Vader that is being worked on right now. But there we go.
Beautiful,
So,
beautiful, flowy cape.
just like with the Stormtroopers, another one that benefits so much from the crispness and the the fidelity of the hard plastic. Being able to go back in and really make that iconic look of Vader
Yeah,
sharp and jump.
given that presence, sculpt, and just really looks intimidating.
I'm really excited to see the photos that people take with this Vader because he looks so regal and commanding, just standing there.
Regal.
Well, no, I mean look, he looks so authoritative. You can just imagine the ranks of stormtroopers,
Yep.
marching behind him as he stands on some outcrop.
It's
or
propaganda poster Vader.
Yeah,
I agree with
absolutely.
you. I
It's
agree with
incredible.
you.
Yeah.
This
And
is what's
I'm
on
very
all
excited
the
to see the
Stormtrooper
photos.
recruitment posters.
the miniature.
He can't do it alone.
Yeah, the miniature photography.
totally do it alone.
He totally can do it.
Right, totally can do it alone for sure. Okay, and that brings us to the end of everything we have to show right now. There is lots in the works, of course, and marketing will be revealing more stuff as we get closer to everything. But we hope that this roadmap has excited you, that you're looking forward to what's coming next, and we can't wait to surprise you with even more good stuff in the future. If you're interested in Clone Commandos, Dallas Kemp is on next. He's going to be painting them. Any last words, gentlemen?
Like
Excited.
for the stream?
Yeah, for this stream
Oh.
specifically. No, for life. Like you're done after this.
I think soft plastic capes are not as good as hard plastic capes.
You heard it
That's
here
my last
first.
words.
There you go. All right, and with that nugget of wisdom, goodbye. Thanks everyone for joining us.